Hi there, it's Ron Gula from GULATECH Adventures. Today we're going to talk about counting computers. Now, this might not seem as exciting or as advanced of a topic such as other videos we've done here about cybersecurity, such as this one on the differences between vulnerability scanning, penetration testing, and finding implants. But it turns out that if you're going to do any type of cybersecurity, compliance, security assessment monitoring, you're basically going to count devices and then count a subset of those devices that's measuring a condition like missing patches or whatnot. So if you want to answer a question such as, do I have a good patching program? You might go out and count the number of computers and then count the number of those computers that have missing patches. Or maybe if you wanted to answer a question such as how many of my admin computers are missing patches, you would count those computers and then those with missing patches. And even maybe more interestingly, how many of my admin computers have been hacked? This sort of numerator and denominator thing happens a lot in cybersecurity. And when you have a big enterprise network, it's hard to come up with these numbers in a clear-cut case. I'll give you some examples. First of all, let's talk about what is a computer. Yes, it's 2023, but this is actually a fairly difficult question. Most of the time, you have different ways of looking at what's connected to the network, lots of ways to see what's out there. It's hard to say, for example, like what is a specific computer or not. Most of the time when we're talking about counting things that can be hacked or things that need to be hardened, you're talking about desktop operating systems, mobile devices, network devices, both real and virtual. You're typically not talking about USB devices such as mice, such as attached hard drives, or even monitors. Now, there's probably a lot of people who are kind of jumping out at the screen right now saying that's not true, but for the most part, if it doesn't have an IP address, doesn't mean it can't hack you, but it's certainly hard to count and audit from a network point of view. And there are companies out there who can audit a computer and audit all of the enumerated devices that are on it, and that certainly should be part of your audit. But for the most part, you're dealing with things that can be hacked. So the specific example of a monitor, here we have a Samsung TV, which is connected to the internet with an Ethernet connection. Certainly in scope of something that can be hacked, implanted, and used to subvert a network. But if this device was not connected to the internet, maybe you still have an eavesdropping, and you have to think about it from a technical communication security point of view, but not directly. All right, so then how do we get everything? Well, you can basically put an agent on just about anything out there, an operating system, a mobile device, and they can report. You can integrate things with Active Directory and then ask the Active Directory for its list of devices that are connected. You can do active scanning, ping sweeps, vulnerability scans. You can try to run SNMP probes. There's a whole bunch of tools, and Tenable is a great company out there that kind of does this among many other things. You can also do network monitoring, which means you can look at network traffic and you can see devices, you can see where they're going and try to enumerate them. And then lastly, you can actually do application monitoring. There's a number of products out there that can look at your applications, such as your Salesforces and your things you log into, and then enumerate the devices and the users that come from those places. Typically, if you add all this together, you can get a sense of what you have on the enterprise. But if you haven't done this before, it might be surprising. For example, let's say you did a vulnerability scan and you came up with 800 computers, but you went to the Active Directory and said, how many devices are part of Active Directory? You're missing a couple here. Well, maybe those computers weren't there that day. Maybe they were turned off. Maybe they were working from home. Maybe there was a network configuration that didn't let you get to those things. There's a lot of reasons why those computers can be missing. And it's not always a case about missing. Let's say you did an audit of all your Windows computers and you have 1,000 Active Directory computers, but you scan and you actually come up with 1,100 Windows computers. Well, maybe those other 100 computers aren't part of Active Directory. There's a lot of reasons why you might want to have a standalone, separate, isolated computer. I've run into all these kind of issues over my life doing penetration testing, and when I was the CEO at Tenable, there's a lot of different things out there that can cause these things. And a lot of times it's not an either or thing. Now imagine you have a network where you have 1,000 computers and you're really into CrowdStrike and you're really into Tenable. And you run one query and you find out that Tenable knows about maybe 900 computers of that 1,000 computers that Tenable maybe has an agent on or did credential scanning for. And then you ask CrowdStrike, how many guys do you have in your console? And they come up with another number. They also come up with 900. Well, could you actually have 90% coverage for this? Well, the question you really need to be asking is how many computers have both Tenable and CrowdStrike on, which is technically a different answer than also asking how many people have Tenable and not CrowdStrike, or not CrowdStrike but Tenable. So this can get really crazy. And when I was running Tenable Network Security, we had a product called Security Center, still shipping today, still used by a lot of folks, where you could do these queries, getting back to that fraction of a numerator and a denominator. And a lot of times I had more than one customer who would make these great dashboards, and they produce these charts. They say these numbers aren't adding up. But what they were doing is they were combining not all the different logical cases of detecting what's on those endpoints. Now, hopefully this gives people who are new to vulnerability scanning and perhaps compliance reporting a taste of how complex some of these questions can be in the large enterprise. If you like this kind of video and you want to learn more, please subscribe to our channel here on YouTube or visit us at gula.tech or hit me up on LinkedIn. I'm Ron Gula. From GULATECH Adventures, have a great day.